Welcome everyone to the Couch Channel, and today in a little update, we're going to see that one of the creators of Sonic has illegally traded over $1 million of stocks. This is a cow's opinion. This is the Cow Show, and it's how it goes. I don't have money to make a theme, so we're going to workshop it a little more. But hey, I am the Cow. I have recently just gotten back from a 2.5-hour cardiology visit. It's a regular appointment. It's fine, so don't panic in the comments. But I also found this update from last week that I missed because, along with the cardio visit today, I've had a very busy 4-day weekend where I was doing tons of stuff that had to be done. And I want to follow up because Yuji Naka over in Japan, one of the creators of Sonic the Hedgehog, as well as other important stuff, has been arrested and is going to be pleading guilty to illegal insider trading. Excuse me. Still have the cough and it's making me my voice not so good. But we're going to get through this because this is important. So last Thursday, Sonic the Hedgehog's co-creator Yuji Naka admitted to doing insider trading when he worked at Square Enix. So at the Tokyo District Court, he is now admitting that he is violating Japan's Financial Instruments and Exchange Act for trading $1 million in stocks while he worked at Square Enix, according to NHK, which is a major broadcasting group in Japan. There is no doubt that I knew the facts about the game before it was made public and bought the stock, Yuji said, according to another major broadcast outfit and publisher, TBS in Japan, which was translated by Time Extension. We also have this tweet from Alex Cross. Yuji Naka seems to be pleading guilty in his insider trading case. At the first trial held at the Tokyo District Court, Naka stated, again, there is no doubt that I learned the facts about the game before it was announced and bought the stocks. So if you don't remember, we covered this earlier, but I want to go over what happened. So last year, Naka got arrested because of allegations of insider trading. If you don't know what that is, it means that when you work at a company and you have information before it's released to the public, if you buy stocks or sell stocks based on the information before it becomes public, you are in big trouble. It's seen as manipulative and illegal. There are some YouTube finance channels that go out there and say, well, this doesn't actually hurt people, but it actually can hurt people, in my opinion. And this is my opinion, so I'm right and they're wrong. Screw them. So what he did was actually pretty... It's not like he's, out there committing violent felony crimes or anything, but what he did was pretty scummy of executive to do. So before Armin went public with Dragon Quest Tactics, which is a game where you collect a bunch of Dragon Quest monsters and they fight in a tactical-based battle. It's one of countless others that have come out. And also purchasing $1 million shares in A-Team Entertainment before they released the mobile battle royale game Final Fantasy VII: The First Soldier. He was also arrested with Taisuke Sasaki, I apologize if I'm butchering these names, who was another former Square Enix employee who worked on Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts projects. So what Naka did was, for the Dragon Quest Tactics game, he purchased about $20,000 of share Arming stock before they became public, which means that I don't know if I can stress how big Dragon Quest is in Japan. It's probably the equivalent of Fortnite and Halo, possibly combined. So whenever a company gets to work on a Dragon Quest property, whether it's merch, TV shows, tie-in games, anything, they get a huge boost in their stock price because they know you're probably going to make a lot of money. So that's what he did. He knew that Aiming was doing this, and he bought $20,000 in their developer before they got to announce the game. That's not great. But the thing that probably tipped the regulators in Japan off was that he also pulled the same stunt with A-Team before unleashing Final Fantasy VII: The First Soldiers. And it was, instead of just buying 10,000 shares at 20,000 US, he bought 120,000 shares in A-Team for just over $1 million. Now, that's probably the one that got him caught, because $20,000, yeah, that sucks. Don't take advantage of your privileged information, and don't take advantage of people trying to buy in the stock market on a company that on one of the games that you help supervise. But $1 million in A-Team is almost certainly a lot harder to cover up, and that's obviously, I think that the first one worked really well. He put in 20K. It doesn't say how much his shares were worth at the height, but I'm willing to bet that it went up decently. And so he's like, hey, I can do this again. But why not do it bigger? Well, the reason why you shouldn't have done it bigger is because the regulators caught you. Now, his last Square Enix game was Ballin' Wonderland, which was great-ish. It's not a terrible game, but it was kind of like a sequel to an older game, I believe, called Neverwinter. Let's just... Here, I'll show you. I bet they have it here somewhere. It's obviously... Yeah, Nights into Dreams is the game I'm thinking of. So it's not a terrible looking game, but it's also not necessarily a lot of fun. Square Enix has recently admitted that and changed their CEO, which will probably be covered on an upcoming version of A Cow's Opinion, because while they did some really good games, they also did a lot of bad games and sold almost all of their Western properties for the low cost of $300 million. I cannot stress enough that Tomb Raider alone was probably worth that much, but they wanted it because their now previous CEO, wanted the money for blockchain and NFT investments. And we all know how poorly those are going overall, so it was a really boneheaded move, and they're out, somebody new is in. Whether or not they're good, we may cover in a future video. So after Ballin' Wonderland, Naka would later sue Square Enix for being let go from the studio 6 months before the game's release, and it's not disclosed whether or not they released any kind of resolution. I'm guessing Square Enix is going to have an easier time with that when they can point to Naka insider trading off of their information and hurting their reputation and business agreements with other companies. But that is the follow-up, and honestly, I'm surprised. Usually these people do not like to admit their guilt so easily. But that's what happened. And, I mean, look, they've got him. And again, it's insider trading. It's definitely a white-collar crime. He hasn't physically hurt anybody. It's definitely not a victimless crime like some financial people like to argue. You're trading on... You have an unfair advantage, and you're making money that you should not be making, which means that other people will not making money. Money is not infinite. It takes time to create, unlike what some people say. But the fact that at least he's like saving them the costs and times of a trial, because honestly, based on this and our previous discussion, they've got him. You might as well just, say, I did this, pay your fine. The fine is never really as much as you've made because the law sucks in that regard. And do your time in a low-security prison. I mean, it sucks, but why not? Do you think he should even go to jail? Do you think that this is actually a crime? Or do you think that the guy is scum for taking advantage of people who love Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy and these smaller companies that were trying to get with Square Enix on a big-time project and had their stocks manipulated by him? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much as always for watching, and I'll see you on the next opinion. Play more games! Games are awesome, and you deserve the awesome.